Hey, Miguel, host of Light Full Circle Radio. Happy Wednesday. Make sure you like, follow, share, all that good stuff. Subscribe. You can catch us today on several platforms like Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, if you follow us on Twitch. If not, start following us on Twitch. We'll be hanging out there a little bit. So anyway, today we're going to be talking about the evolution of politics after Trump. He's in the news. He stays in the news. Black children are reading books that are being banned. So it looks like these parents are doing what they're supposed to do. It's because they say they can't read them in school. Doesn't mean you can't read them at home. And then we got to talk about this youth football coach that got killed. This mess is crazy. All right, here we go. If y'all only knew. So it's funny, right? Like right now, long days. We've been humping. Everybody doing their thing, working. I ain't gonna tell y'all. I got a piece of fried fish right here off the side of the screen over here. So I may be trying to like put on one shot to let you, and then I ain't gonna do that. All right.
But let me tell you, he just caught me like taking a melatonin now, because once we get off this air, I literally have to go straight to sleep to be ready for getting Devin on the bus at 5:30. Yeah. Gremlin wrangling in the afternoon. So
crazy. I'll make sure my interviews run long today. All right. So anyway, today.
This horrible lipstick, guys. Does this look orange?
It does.
I look like I rep the UF. This is not how the package.
Well, no, they say that's your FAMU orange. We gonna go with that.
Okay.
I'm trying to give you a little runway.
No. Did you see that the girl from the picture responded? The girl we talked about last week who had the picture from FAM, who was naked in front of the Rattler statue. She responded, and it was so gloriously embarrassing for her. I mean, the Rattler god smiled down on us with her interview. She was like, "I'm just gonna keep doing me and prospering." And Rattlers with no.
Hold on, no, she didn't say prospering. She said prosperity.
She said prospering. And Rattlers in the comments like, "Isn't the word prospering?" Like, she's really making this word. And even I was laughing so hard.
Oh my god,
it was hilarious. She's never getting a job as a school counselor. Never.
Well, you know, she want to be the next Meg Thee Stallion anyway. All right, so anyway, so we got a lot to talk about this week, and you know, it's craziness going on, stuff going on in Dallas with this football coach. Serena Williams, Spirit Airlines fights, and some books and stuff. So let's jump on into this thing. It's crazy out here in these streets.
Your transitions are the worst.
They are the best, dadgummit. All right, let's get into this joint. So anyway, Serena Williams made an announcement last week, and man, I want this girl to get wanted her to get this record, because she was one win away from tying the all-time Grand Slam record. And she's been on that one win for about 3 or 4 years. She's had, obviously, the injuries. But the biggest thing she had a baby. She had a baby. I guess the baby got to be pushing 3 years old now. And so, yeah.
And I think she wants another child, which is reasonable based on her age.
Yeah, well, you know, she's 42 years old. You know, Serena's been in the game a long time. There's people who've grown up watching Serena and Venus, and we going back to you know, when they had the little beads in their hair and everything, and they obviously good and grown now. But you know, Serena talks about, she's in this headline, as you see, I don't think it's fair having to choose between having a baby and a career, and it's not.
Absolutely.
It's absolutely not.
And just to give a little bit more background, you know, after having a trailblazing career that both transformed and transcended her sport, because I feel like Serena Williams and Venus Williams put tennis on the map for everybody. You know, it's not no longer an elite sport that the rich people watch. It's now everybody in the hood, like, oh, it's 40-40 love, man. I don't know. It became that type of sports that everybody was talking about. But she turns 41 next month, and you know, she soon will step away to focus on having a second child and making her daughter Olympia a big sister. And her first pregnancy wasn't an easy pregnancy. If you guys remember, she got in trouble for wearing, was it that black bodysuit? Remember, she wore the black bodysuit?
Right. I think one of the tournaments she was going to wear.
Yes, people kept saying that was some fashion statement. She was like, no, my doctors are making me wear this for the blood clots to keep my baby safe. Like, I have to wear this compression jumpsuit on my entire body. And people still kind of were like, no, it needs to be back to tennis whites. And I get her wanting to step away.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's got to end eventually. Here's what we know. When you're an athlete, you can't get to the point. You get to a certain point. The GOAT, the quarterback down in Tampa. Anyway,
His name is Tom Brady.
Tom Brady, yeah, TB12. All right, he's 45 almost. That he is absolutely the anomaly. So at 42 years old, Venus Williams has been doing this for a long time. Serena Williams has been doing this for a long time. And even Venus is a year or two older than Serena, and she's still playing. But she makes a very valid point. Women should not have to choose between having a baby and having a career. But one thing that will make a choice for you is your body.
Just like male employees at jobs never have to make the decision. Even though these two parents are raising the child, it's just the women who have to make the decision of, I have to stay a step away. I have to raise this baby. I have to figure out childcare. Most men are just like, just let me know who I need to pay for and I'm good to go. But, when you think about it, let's go through some other stories where women have to deal with this. The runner, am I saying it right? Allison Felix?
Allison Felix, yeah. Track
Yeah,
star.
she's a track and field star. She actually ran while she was pregnant, and a lot of people were so blown away that she ran track, but a lot of these women do continue to run track. And when she needed to step away, Nike actually dropped her.
Yeah.
They're like, well, you're not running right now. And she's like, I'm pregnant. I just ran a race 7 months pregnant. What else do you all want from me? Like, what are you talking about? And even during the Olympics, we talked about this in our production meeting, how the Tokyo Olympics, women were like, listen, I have to bring my baby because my baby needs to be breastfed.
Right.
And they're like, that's against Olympic Village rules, so you can't bring your baby.
I can't believe that's against the rules. That's insane. When you have a bunch of women athletes, you can't tell me you can't have a separate part of the village where women who are moms or pregnant or newborns. That's just crazy. But they're gonna learn today. They're gonna keep on testing these women, and women are getting much more are demanding respect, and they earn every bit of it. And so they're gonna have to make some changes in how they move.
Yeah,
All right, so let's move on. This story right here is crazy to me. All right, so there's a situation people may not know. Of youth football coach teaching 9 and under kids was killed.
Do we have to call it youth? Can we call it what it is? It's baby football. It's pee-wee. It's pee-wee football. It's baby football.
9 and under, so they're very young. And guys, I don't know. I don't have sons, so I but I can't see a kid not. Anyway, that's not the story. The story is these cats get into these arguments at the football game. You see the video. You can do the search on it. Aqib Talib is a former NFL player. This is his brother, Yaqub Salik Talib. And he initially was on the run. He ended up turning himself in. But this brother on the right of your screen there is dead. Youth football coach. Altercation on the football field on a Saturday morning. And this dude is dead because these people don't know how to act. Here's the thing, man. My daughter, my younger kids now are of that age. I spent the summer AAU basketball, riding around Georgia, taking my child, and some of these youth, some of these parents. I had a situation in one of our games where a referee got into it with one of the dads on our team, and I don't say one or the other was right or wrong. I think that they both were wrong because you're getting into a shouting match. Your referee on the other side of the court, he yelling at the father on this side of the court. Father telling my son, wait till you come outside and all this nonsense. I'm like, yo, your daughters are right there. Your daughter is right there. Mr. Referee, you're here. What I love is I see referees who are the type of referees who are teaching while they're officiating these games. Mm-hmm. Hey, young ladies, sportsmanship, help them up, blah, 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 blah. This referee in this particular game was challenging his father, like, yo. And then he ended up calling the police. And, like, what kind of image do you want that to see, especially as African Americans, where you see these black men who are back and forth complaining over a call, and then you turn around and you had that situation. It's insane. But the fact that this brother lost his life over a youth football game, man, we got to check ourselves. It ain't that serious.
And like Miguel says, like he had in his incident of his daughter's game, this isn't new. There have been several stories, and this is just not, I know a lot of people like to say, oh, it's just a black thing and know how to act. No, these white parents at these baseball games, at these Little League football games, there was a I think a year ago, parents actually had to duck and cover when shooting broke out at a little league game. There was also a massive parents brawl at another little league football game. And
Yeah.
then 2 or 3 years ago, there was a huge brawl of black people this time, huge brawl at a high school football game on Friday night. So
Right.
this isn't, it's almost, and correct me if I'm wrong, this didn't seem to be like back when I was in Pee Wee or in playing AAU basketball, it didn't seem to be like a problem then. It seems like
Mhm.
newer parents, younger parents are stupider parents and doing dumber stuff for no reason. Like, am I wrong?
Yeah. Well, people are a lot more invested now in youth sports than we were. When I was coming up, AAU was limited to the elite players.
Yes.
You had 1 or 2 AAU traveling teams per market, and they played teams from other markets. Now you got people who have clubs and they built these teams, and now, like I said, you got people who are playing each other all year long. My daughter is getting ready to season in July. They're gonna have a fall season coming up in about a week. They're gonna play at least once a week together, and she's 11 years old, and I'm okay with it to a degree. But the way we were doing it in the summertime, where it was all weekend and all that, no, not this time of the year. But to
No.
keep the energy and keep them together and making sure they're staying engaged, that's cool.
Of course.
But the energy that I see at these games, the parents, the way they engage, the way that they deal is crazy. And people have got to slow down. They got to slow down and just and take this stuff in and let these kids be kids, because you got situations where the kids are going to look over there when they're looking at us. That's how they're going to be developed. That's how they're going to turn out. And that's the problem
Miguel
that I
could
see.
not be more right.
Yeah.
We've seen this. Remember when the Pacers and the Pistons got into a fight, that huge brawl?
Yeah.
Fans react how the players react. They think it's okay. So kids are the same way. If my mama and daddy are up there cussing everybody out and
Right.
fighting, then I guess I'm supposed to jump in too.
Right. So, guys, we got to check ourselves.
Absolutely.
And so, as we transition in further fighting news, Spirit
We got
Airlines,
the
everybody's
Roman
favorite.
Rose. I'm sorry.
So, for people who having this problem too, we find this stuff humorous at the wrong time.
Sorry.
And there's other stories. Spirit Airlines employee, and you can go on Instagram and you can watch his video. Just do the search. The guy on the right is obviously a dude. The guy on the left, the woman on the left is the one, and she gets into, and she's up in this guy's face, and she's blah 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 blah, boom 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 boom. Don't know what started the incident. She starts calling them, homophobic slurs, and then that
She
also
calls
said
him every name but a child of God. That's what
Right.
she calls him.
Right.
Every name in the book.
Right. And so when it came down to it, then all of a sudden she slapped him. And at that point, all hell broke loose. My man was running around the whole lobby area, chasing her down. Another dude rolled up on him and wanted, it was basically like, you don't be hitting that female, da 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 da, blah, blah, blah.
Does that guy confuse you? Did that guy's reaction
so?
confuse you a little bit?
How so?
Meaning, if you saw a woman haul off and hit a dude,
Mm-hmm.
then she got hit back. Are you running up on him like, you can't hit no woman? Or are you going to be like, well, I guess I'm just going to call somebody because this is not for me.
We're in a confusing time right now. We got a lot of sisters who are really empowered. They feel like they can say and do anything that they want to do. Okay, you better have your man right there, your brother or your uncle or somebody, because if you keep on jumping in these men's face, then all of a sudden you better be able to scrap. Because, at this point, up to that point, you wasn't really wanting that type of attention and that type of respect. You go swinging, and all of a sudden now, and that's so was it surprising me? No.
Stop hitting men. Women, straight up, stop hitting men like you're men.
Right.
Because if it was me sitting there, you would have been a woman punched in the face. Like, I'm not getting up for that. Like, if he would have been attacking her, like earlier on when he was kind of bumping up against her, now I'm like, okay, sir, y'all need to stop. But once you swing on him after y'all are separated, well, then you just a bitch who got hit in the face.
Well,
and I said the B word on purpose. You're just someone who got hit in the face.
Well, yeah, and at that point, and it's funny. My grandmother, God rest her soul, people hear me talk about her all the time. My grandmother told me when I was a kid, as long as a woman acts like a woman, you treat her like a woman. The minute she acts like a man, you treat her like a man. And I was just like, whew. Now to this day, I'm still going to give the average woman a lot more leeway than a dude. Because if a woman run up on me and I'm looking for, okay, where's your husband? Where's your somebody? Because I need to let this energy go. Because then you keep on scrapping.
Okay,
I need
Miguel
something here.
has And this is how a lot of married couples are like Miguel and Tracy. If a woman walked up and like punched Miguel, Tracy is going
Oh no.
bananas. Like
No,
Tracy is going.
I'm just that would be a really, really bad move. My wife can
Yes.
fight better than me.
Same in my marriage. If some woman walked up and punched Omar in the face, I don't care if we're in Hindu temple, Christian church, we're at the Little League game, we're in the grocery store line. Oh, I'm laying you out. And
Oh
if
my
some man
God.
walks up to me, Omar's gonna handle it.
Yeah.
But
Oh yeah. There's no.
I just
Yeah, it's gonna get handled. It's just we adult, man. We grown as hell, man. This nonsense right here, and that woman in
also
that
Spirit
airport,
Airlines. Do you expect any
it's
more
spirit,
from Spirit?
and when it's all said and done, that's what you get for taking your behind over there and flying on Spirit Airlines. All right. So anyway, if it's your first time tuning into Life Full Circle Radio, if you missed any part of the show, go back, check it out. It's all on the YouTubes and the Facebooks and now the Twitch. I don't think Twitch saves your videos though. I think you just got to watch that live and then go back. I think that's how that rolls.
I think it does, but we might have to pay for a different feature. But again,
Okay.
we have an intern now who's going to research that for us.
There we go. So real shortly, in the next 10 minutes or less, we're going to have my man Dontaye Carter. Dontaye, and it's funny how you meet people on the Facebooks and all that, and you look who you got mutual friends and everything. But when it's all said and done, you still get into little funny debates about silliness. But Dontaye is a very accomplished. He was involved with the Ahmaud Arbery case here in Georgia. He's a Democratic strategist. He's done a lot of work. He started off as a producer, television producer. And so we got a lot of things in common. And I'm wondering, I don't know, y'all both rattlers. I don't know if y'all were there at the same time or not. We'll
Are
talk
we the
about
same
that.
age?
I have no idea. You all talk about that when
And
y'all
then
get
there
on
you
that,
go.
on them airs. When y'all get on them airs, y'all gonna talk about that rattler stuff. Just like you get mad when I talk all my noob stuff. When y'all talk all that fam stuff, I'm always
Because it
like,
just be you. It's always just you.
it's
And
never
then
just me. I have all my noobs. My noobs is out here getting it done. So, all that
on the
hating ain't
show,
getting you nowhere. All right. So anyway, let's jump into our next story so we can get all these stories in because we're going to talk politics and Trump when we bring Dontaye on. All right.
Cool.
So back to this
next?
sad story. Kobe Bryant, his widow breakdowns in court, trial of leaked photos. There's a couple things that are out in the sphere that I have no intentions or no desire to ever see. R. Kelly peeing on little girls in the videos and Kobe Bryant's decapitated body. If you out there trying to find that stuff, find something else to do with your life. But when you got the church hand up, what's up?
I have a church hand up because I tried to find it. The reason why I tried to find the photos, not on some like, I just want to see it, was because what platform allowed this to stay up? Like, who decided this was still going to stay up or still has it? And there are some dark sites that still have these photos.
Of course there are, because there's some dark people out here who ain't got nothing else to do with their lives. And I just sit back and I remember a good friend of mine, my sister Erin White, called me. I was driving. It was a Sunday. She called me and out the blue. And I think I might have called her, and she answered the phone. And she was upset, and I was like, "What's up? What's up?" She said, "You ain't heard?" I was like, "What?" She was like, "Kobe Bryant is dead." I was like, "Man, get the F out of here." Mm-hmm. Like, what? No. And she starts talking.
We were doing the lawn. We were doing the lawn, and Omar said, "Hey, go check your phone so we can order a pizza." And I was like, "Well, I'm waiting on the thing to load," and I checked my Twitter, and it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And we say this like this because Vanessa Bryant apparently got hit the same way.
Yeah.
She didn't get a call from the police department. It was all over Twitter because the pictures got out somewhere, and he had taken pictures and they somehow got out. He's like, "Well, I was just doing my job." That's not how investigations work. We have seen investigations for years of tragedies when celebrities pass away.
Yeah.
They don't get out this quickly because investigators come. They're not taking pictures on their phone. They're taking pictures on their high-def cameras, and it's going through the regular process.
Right.
These were taken on a cell phone. I mean, it's inappropriate. It's not a part of your job.
Well, I don't know. Depending on that would depend on the jurisdiction. What is inappropriate that it hit the internet?
Yes.
That if I remember correctly, when it first happened, they were up for there was a problem because they said he was selling them to press and all this type of nonsense. So now I believe that this is a civil situation that we're dealing with. And so she is actually suing, and I believe that's why she's going through this situation right now, dealing with it civilly. And people say, well, why is she still touching? If I were her, somebody had to pay too. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
people, and I get that, but a lot of people have already paid. The
It ain't
helicopter
even the
company has,
money though. She don't need no money. I just,
it's not the
yeah,
money, it's
yeah.
not the money, but this was a fluke accident. I don't think anybody did anything on purpose to cause this to happen. Or
You
go
think?
ahead, what you about to say? Because you're making a face.
I don't believe it was a fluke accident. You don't just by accident leak the death and visual and of a Kobe
No, not
Bryant.
that part. I mean, the helicopter going down in general
Oh,
was
okay,
a
okay, okay,
fluke
okay.
accident,
Yeah.
and there
Okay.
was a cascading of events that happened,
Hmm.
and none of it has to directly to involve with him dying. That's where
Hmm.
I'm kind of like, well, it didn't have anything directly to do with him dying. He
Hmm.
made awful decisions. You sued a lot of people. When is it where you guys can just rest in peace? These pictures are
Yeah.
not heavily out there like they were.
Right.
Nike has paid you. The helicopter company has paid you. People have apologized. Vanessa, where does it end? Like, when do you just start being a widow who is mourning in peace and privacy and stop the fight? Because I don't think this is healthy for her
No,
at
I
all.
don't think any of it is healthy at all. I agree with that 100%. I'm at the point that you do what you got to do. I don't. She's never been a really public person, and so
No.
I don't think that. I think once they get past this process, let's hope that she starts to heal and she can move on with her life.
Yep.
But when you're talking about, because let's not forget, it wasn't just Kobe; it was her daughter. So she lost her husband and her daughter.
And her daughter.
And her
And also,
daughter.
let's not forget there were two other
And
families.
two
There was
other families
two
that
other
was her.
kids who lost their little sister and both of their parents on that
Right.
flight.
Right. So and we're talking about has it been 2 years? Roundabout.
It'll be 2 years, I think, this coming up January.
Yeah. So it's still fresh. It's still hard to deal with, and I still hope for the best for them. All right, so let's we got a couple more stories we're gonna do before we bring in our guest. We got to talk about this Breonna Taylor, the latest with that. As
No, that's
Kelly,
for politics.
yeah,
No,
huh?
that's for the politics part.
Oh, okay. We can come
This
back to it.
wrong.
We can talk about it now and come back to it. Kelly Godlet expected to plead guilty for falsifying search warrant and filing a false report.
Yes.
Breonna Taylor, one thing about these stories, and I believe this is going to be the playbook, and I'm definitely want to talk to Dontaye about this.
Yes.
The stuff gets hot, and then they let it calm down. There's no reason the world should have taken this long for this to come out on this Breonna Taylor situation, but I think we have such what's the word I'm looking for? Fatigue with these type of stories that, quite frankly, the Breonna Taylor situation is not in the forefront of everybody's mind, and now they're starting to deal with it. Same situation with how the guys with everything takes a long time. I think longer than it should take. It shouldn't take 2 years to convict these guys and sentence these guys. The Ahmaud Arbery guys, and we can verify this with Dontaye in a minute. It took them a year after being found guilty to even get the sentencing. They didn't find out how long. I think it was only last week, a week before
No.
or was it the federal? It was the federal, I believe.
No, yes, the federal one, but the state one, that they got life anyway. They ended up
Right.
getting 2 life sentences. They
Right.
tried to appeal, and the judge was like, "You're funny. Please get out of my face." But
Right.
they got their first life sentence. I want to say within 7 or 8 months of them being in jail. It was pretty quick.
But there was something last week. It might have been the Fed charges that they were giving
Federal charges.
additional. At that point, it's just setting up statutes and experience. But it's so anyway. We'll see how the situation works itself out. But that's huge. The fact that she it's huge and she needs to pay.
Because what happened was with the story is that she went back after the fact. She didn't do it beforehand. What happened was when they realized they had made a mistake, she went back in after the incident and changed the report. Because if she would have done it, if it would have happened beforehand, it just would have been a mistake.
Yeah.
Nobody would have made that big of a deal out of it because something was messed up. Then you went back in and changed it. That's why she is pleading guilty, because she messed up. The man who shot her, or the man who was shot by the boyfriend, he tried to sue the boyfriend. Nothing came of that. That gotten thrown out of court. It's just, it's probably the most tragic case, I feel like, of police misconduct, because these people were in their own home. There was no remorse. It wasn't even like the boy who got shot with the ice cream, the lady who thought it was her home. She actually had remorse for that. Like, she was hysterically crying. Everybody else was like, we just did our job, blah, blah, blah. But in regards to having fatigue, I feel like a lot of Black people, and we can talk to this when our guest comes on, have their guard up about every single thing. Every
Mm-hmm.
single thing is a police brutality. So we're always up in arms about something. We forgot about the next thing. We're ready to fight the next thing. Bringing up like the Black girl who was arrested by the cop in Atlanta who had the face mask on.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that whole video. I was like, girl, if you don't get entirely out of my face, we all were on your side. Did you see that whole video?
I haven't.
You need to watch it. She got a
Okay.
lot of nerve. She
Okay.
has a lot of nerve.
Mm-hmm. And that's not a surprise. I think sometimes we have to take our time and not react immediately, because it's easy to doctor up a 2-minute video into 30 seconds and just show the part that we don't like. And
Because she had all kind of sass. She was just like, what's your badge number? Then he actually let her walk all the way back to her car. She could have got a gun if she was somebody else.
wow.
He let her walk all the way back, come back, and she was like, I need your badge number. He was like, here's my badge number. I need your name. This is my name. I need your first name. He's like, ma'am, I'm not going to give my first name out, but this is my last name. This is my badge number.
Right.
And then escalated from there for her.
And that's the reason why that story's probably going away.
Yes, it is.
Because once people saw that real video, they was like, "Oh no, this ain't it." That's why we haven't seen we ain't seen none of the big time lawyers jumping on that case. They're like, "Okay, Garrett, no, bye bye."
And you know Ben Crump, he love an ambulance. He love an ambulance, and he ain't jump on it. So
all right, before we get into listen, we something we gotta add, and I'm just telling you now because I ain't told you, but I'm telling you now, we gotta add some business, dropping some nuggets on our shows. And this is Black Business and Philanthropy Month. And here's the thing, a lot of people don't know, that's what I spend most of my days doing.
it is.
Is advocating for Black business. Yesterday, here in Henry County in Georgia, the Atlanta Black Chambers, we were down at the county commissioners meeting. We proclaimed it. I did a proclamation there. And this is Buy Black. Buy Black is an initiative that has been put on by the U.S. Black Chambers, and it's a way for you to get your businesses certified. Please don't fall for the banana and tailpipe. When they tell you that there's all these great minority numbers in contracting, when they say minority, 78% of those are white women. So let's just break it down like this. So you got Mr. White Man up here on the business, and his wife and sister, they over here, and I'm gonna get a minority contract over here, and so the money's staying over there. 1.67% of federal contracts go to Black people. I pause for effect. 1.67%. And so we got to do better. This is one way. The folks at U.S. Black Chambers, Ron Busby, the folks out there, they have a certification. Go to usblackchambers.org. You can get your business registered, get some more resources to move your stuff up and get yourself some more of these contracts, because they're not going to give them to us. We got to go earn it. So, all right. So let's get into it. So as we mentioned, we're going to get into the politics today. Part of our show and the rest of the show, we're going to talk about the evolution of politics after Trump. And we're hoping it is after Trump. And we need to make sure we're paying attention. We make sure that we're very diligent, because he ain't going away. He ain't going away. And his ideology is not going away, right? And if you doubt it, 8 of the 10 Republicans who voted to impeach Donald Trump now are not going to have jobs by the end of this year. And so when you think about that,
let's bring in the guests. Let's get this party started.
Yeah, and that's a big deal. Here's the funny thing. This is the fact that Cheney. Now, this is Cheney. For those who revisionist historians, we didn't like Dick Cheney.
No,
Dick Cheney.
He was evil incarnate. I mean, I liked him because he was about his business, but he was evil. He was evil.
Man, we talking about the dude who shot his boy at shooting ducks.
In the face.
In the face. In the face. We're talking about, the vice president. People really felt like was pulling the strings with Baby Bush.
If you haven't watched the movie Vice, it's called Vice. It's basically the Dick Cheney story, starring what's the awful Batman's name? Christian Bale. It's starring Christian Bale.
I didn't see that. Yeah, I remember that was out.
But it's an amazing portrayal of how he was as vice president. If you the manipulation and the shifting and the talking and it's insane how well Dick Cheney got to shift. But he's the Republican of all Republicans. His daughter is the Republican accidentally.
Stop jumping in the
Somebody just
comments.
commented that
Mama
he did that
Blanche talking about
accidentally.
accidentally. Ain't no accidentally.
Yeah.
But here's the funny thing. So Dick Cheney came out with a video during Liz Cheney's run, which she got smoked. She got beat.
Oh, he's
2-1.
alive?
Yes, Dick Cheney's still alive.
Oh, I thought he went to glory. I thought he was dead.
He looked just the same way he looked 30 years ago. Looked like the dude, what's it, Palpatine from Empire Strike Back. All they do is get the hood and get some lighting and I ain't controlling it all. But yeah, Dick Cheney is still alive. And so he talked about, he called Trump a flat out coward, you know, and the whole nine. It's out there. We'll find it and get it out here. But let me bring in my man, as we mentioned, Dontaye Carter, Democratic Strategist. And let me make sure your mic is live. Good evening.
Yes, we graduated around the same time.
Go ahead and talk, Dontaye.
Yep.
Make sure your mic is good. Okay. There we
Can
go.
y'all hear me?
We got
good?
you. We got you. Welcome to the show, man.
Do I
Welcome to
sound
Life
good?
Full Circle Radio, brother. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Do I look good on your side? I look a little like,
Yeah, you good.
I mean, like slow mo.
Yeah.
Yes, it looks like your Wi-Fi is being peddled by a Flintstone character. Like that's
but we gonna keep it moving. We gonna keep it moving. So you guys, let's get the FAMU stuff out the way. Y'all were there at the same time, possibly?
I think so. What year did you graduate?
I came out in 09, so I'm a young buck.
So he's right after me. So we were at the school at the same time. Yes, we were at school at the same time. Because I
Okay.
graduated in 07.
We got 67 mutual friends though.
Yeah.
You
'cause-
looked it up? Well, all right. Then yes. It's okay. It's Stephanie. It's
Y'all were
Stephanie
talking. I
Lambert.
was listening.
there
Is
you
Stephanie
go.
Lambert one of your mutual friends? Because if that's the case, then we've actually probably met in person.
Y'all are
And
both
didn't-
mass comm journalism folks. Y'all probably had classes around and run around in the
Yep.
hallways together.
High school. Yeah.
So let's talk
I think I
about your experiences, Dontaye. You had some experiences where you've worked on some pretty big cases, and tell us about the experiences you've worked on. The one was the Ahmaud Arbery case. You there? Oh, look like we lost him. All right, we'll get him back up here in just a second.
Hopefully he's upgrading from the Flintstone internet and
He's coming back
going
in.
to the
Let's
real
see.
internet. Cool.
All right,
And
you there?
fans of the show, don't get mad that I don't. I mean, FAMU is a big campus. It's a huge HBCU. Much better. Now we're cooking
It
with
is.
grease.
I know. I had switched over to my hotspot, so I apologize. I was like, I probably
Perfect.
should have waited to do that, but my
Okay,
bad,
all
y'all.
good, man. Welcome to the show. And so, as you mentioned, you guys were at FAMU together. I give y'all rattlers, y'all. Go do your little snake thing. I know you. I saw your hand get ready. I saw your little hands get ready. I was gonna go ahead and just let y'all have that moment. Behold the green and gold. But anyway, so yeah, man. You know, we've connected quite a few times. Impressed with the work that you've been doing,
I
and so.
appreciate it.
You know, let's talk about your career. You started off in television as a TV producer. You were doing that while you were in school.
Yeah.
And so tell us a little bit about how you got into the biz.
Man, so you know, it's crazy how things unfold, right? So man, my first couple of years, I felt like I was just kind of bouncing around, right? Just kind of bouncing around, not really clear on where I wanted to major. I started talking to a girl. She was like, you know, I'm in the journalism program. I think you would be great for that. And I'm like, okay, cool. You know, so I'm doing what every 19-year-old kid would do. I'm like, cool. I'm going where she go, you know. Ended up shadowing her at one of the local TV stations up there. Ended up getting a job editing video overnight. Did that for 6 months. And right after that, I was offered an opportunity to get in there and start producing our daybreak show, and then I was promoted to executive morning producer. So you know, it was good. You know, by the time I graduated, I had 3.5 years of experience. Went from there, started reporting, anchoring. Went out to Tulsa, Oklahoma, which you know, culturally it was different.
Big
Growing up
difference.
in Orlando, I mean, Central Florida is a melting pot.
So I
you
lived
know.
in Bentonville for 3 years. So
That's
you
white
know,
white.
I know how different it is out there. But go ahead.
Yeah, it's different. It's different. But I learned a lot, you know. I learned a lot. And And then from there, my wife and I we were dating, gosh, going into the second year, and it was that conversation
can I
of
ask? Is she the
yeah,
same
go
one who
ahead.
got you into J school at fam?
No, no,
Or
no,
is
no, no, no,
okay?
no.
All right,
Things
all right,
change.
all right. Hey, I wouldn't be a host if I ain't asked that question because you dropped that little breadcrumb earlier. All right, so anyway, we moved
Well,
on.
but I mean, when we're young, that's what we do.
Yeah,
We're ripping, we're running.
yeah.
Uh, my wife, we linked up when I was a lot more mature at that point.
So you got
And
less mature.
huh?
You got less mature.
No, no, I was more mature when I met her.
Yeah.
I was
Oh,
less
yeah.
mature
I got you.
before.
I got you.
Yeah,
When you grew up, I got you. So,
yeah.
so,
So
so you fast forward a little bit. You were in television for a while, and then you left the television space. And why'd you leave and move over into marketing?
well, so I came to Atlanta. I was working over at CBS 46. Went from CBS 46 to 11 Alive, and
Mm-hmm.
got a great opportunity to go over to the Fulton County DA's office and lead up their public affairs department, youngest person to do it. And I was there for a year, and what I saw is that lawyers didn't do a good job of really explaining what's going on, and so I saw a hole there for me, and
Mm-hmm.
I really thought like, man, I could get out on my own and do this because I was seeing so many of these cases, and they were tough cases to look at. I would
Mm-hmm.
see cases that were dismissed because of legal technicalities and all these different things. And what I realized is I didn't even know the law. You know what I'm saying? And so as we're
Mm-hmm.
going through this, one of the things that the DA would do is encourage me to sit down and read the law, read the law, read the law. And as I started to read the law and understand it, I was like, man, there's not just got to be better way of telling these stories. There is a better way. And so I left and, started rolling from there, linked up, and, been out on my own, ripping and running for 5 years.
So you got into the space and you started working on some political campaigns that you mentioned, and then tell us about how you started working on that Ahmaud Arbery case.
Yeah, so I started working on the Ahmaud Arbery case. I had been working with Attorney Gerald Griggs at the time for probably about a year and a half, almost 2 years, somewhere in that range. And we also did we also pushed the R. Kelly case together. That was his case as well.
Okay.
That but yeah, we worked on those cases, and we worked well together. And he was one of the first people to get the phone call about what happened down there in Brunswick, and we got to strategize and really working to see, okay, how do we bring attention to what happened? I mean, it was bananas. I remember I was one of the first people to get the video
Mm.
after William Ronnie Bryant had turned it over to authorities, and
Mm-hmm.
I was holding my 2-year-old daughter at the time, and I kind of just fell to the floor, and I was
Yeah.
crying.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting there and talking to Gerald, and he was like, "Man, do whatever you got to do today, but I'm gonna need you. So I don't know how you make that switch, but you got to make it." And all I kept thinking about is the way I feel right now. I never want to feel it again.
Right.
And for me, it kind of hit me like to this day. I was in the movie theater and I saw that they had the Emmett Till movie coming out, and I'm like, I can't watch Emmett Till. I can't.
Mm.
Who? Wait a minute.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, not to go left, but who wants to sit there and watch that story? I don't want to
yeah.
sit
I
there and
can't.
watch the story. I
I
got too
can't
much
do
of
it.
it from Lovecraft Country. I don't know if you watched Lovecraft Country, but they
Yeah.
had one episode
Yeah.
that kind of had that in there. I was like, nope,
Yeah.
I got to turn this off because I don't know how far y'all about to take this, and
Yeah.
I can't do it. It's
Yeah,
torture. Almost feels like racial torture porn almost.
Yeah.
yeah.
But I'm gonna watch it. I'm going.
Nah, I
Why?
can't watch it. I can't. I'll
I
buy a
would
ticket, but I'm
too.
not
I
going in.
can't do it.
Well, that's one thing. Is that I want to support the brother. But I get it. It's not going to be easy. There's no doubt that it's not going to be easy. But to your point, and Kia, to your point as well. It's hard, man, to always consistently have to deal with the nonsense that we have to deal with as Black folk. All the time, and we really are at a place, you work in the space of and I'm trying to set up this shot because I want to get all three on this shot to talk about this.
There's a
Um,
trailer out.
yeah, 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 it's gonna be rough.
I
And
can't do it. I'm
but
sorry.
we're you know we're in a power struggle right now. We truly are. And when we deal with that, 8 of the 10 Republicans who voted to impeach Trump got voted out. Or they retired. 4 of them I think retired. 4 of them got voted out. One of them, which I thought was very interesting, in the state of Alaska. Not even Alaska. Is I think she wasn't one of the 10. But anyway, one of them, the story of Part Murkowski, is that they have a different. The process is more all the top 4 candidates, regardless of party, or will move on. But you know, out of all of the last 4 or 5 elections, I think only the second Bush Jr.'s race was the last time a Republican won the popular vote in the presidential race. Other than that, this country has been changing for the last 30 years.
Well, can I set this question up a little bit differently? Only because politics is my thing. I am
Yeah.
the registered Republican on the show. This is just like my bread and butter here. So, really quick question: Trump lost, and everybody was happy Biden got in, and now we're at this point where it seems to not have made a damn difference. He has lost. He still, have indictments and lawsuits going on, and it hasn't made a difference. So has politics, at least on the Republican side, gone from actual politics to ideology only?
Well, let me say this first before we get into that. Trump is going to
Okay.
prison. Trump
You
going to
think?
prison. Trump going
I will
to prison.
bet you $100 that won't happen.
Okay, make sure you have my $100. I want a cash, no check, no money order.
You want no
Screen high
cash
five,
out?
camera
You want
high
no
five.
Venmo?
No
You don't
cash
want-
out. Mm-mm. I want to
Why
feel the
why,
paper in
why
my
do you?
hand.
I'm interested to hear why you think that's going to happen.
Yes.
I mean, the feds just don't walk in and search somebody's house with they don't just pull up with search warrants. That was one of the things when we had the R. Kelly case, and the DAs were slow walking it. What do? We went live on TV with these plane tickets because everybody said it's a he said, she said case. I said, no, it's a this evidence, that evidence, this evidence, that evidence. And we laid the case out. And so what I'm saying is the feds just don't pull up, which is why Donald Trump started yelling and screaming again as soon as they pulled up, and he wanted to put out press statements because he know he's going to prison. It's a wrap. You can't do what he did.
Well, here's the thing. Here's why I push back. If it was you or me, we'd have been in jail.
Yeah, like Andrew.
Yeah,
We know Andrew going to jail. Andrew Gillum is going to jail.
Oh, well, that's a whole different story. That's a whole different story. But with Trump, if they lock Trump up, it's gonna be anarchy.
It's already anarchy, though. It's already anarchy.
No, on a different level, and I guess
they
where my
stormed
question
the
comes
Capitol. They stormed the Capitol.
They absolutely did.
They wiped feces all over the walls. They broke windows. We had a police security guard that had a heart attack. They called the National Guard. They told him to stand down. We already in anarchy, and I keep telling folks this.
No one's disputing any of that. No one's disputing any of that. I guess just answer the end part of my question, because that's where I want to kind of make sure we stick on this part of the topic of how did it go from politics, focusing on the politics, to focus to his mind matches my ideology only. How did we get here to this point? Because I feel like that's where the bigger problem is. That went from I'm a Republican, these are my conservative values, to
oh shoot, I'm sorry, she scared me. I said, who was just pulling up on me, man? Who was just pulling up on me?
You thought them Trumpsters then ran up on your house. Hey, sweetheart.
She came in fast.
She did.
We can't find her roll downstairs.
Okay, it's look on Daddy's look on Daddy's side of the bed on his dresser. Okay. Okay, do it again.
Hey, viewers, remember the BBC guy who was on BBC America and his baby came marching in? You just saw the black version of that happen right now.
Oh, yeah. So, but
hey, come on. You want some candy?
What candy?
Go upstairs.
It's 8:46 at night, sir. No,
I had to
he's
mute it
not.
for a
He can't.
second.
He's
Man, y'all better
8.6.
stop acting like y'all don't know what parent life is like.
Man, you better believe I know. My eyes are just old. Well, mine are older. Kids are
Karen!
younger.
Mine in bed. The other two were in the sound machine turned up full blast.
So, as we were talking, you were talking about Trump.
My question still hasn't gotten
Well,
answered.
obviously, we got a little distracted. Re-ask your question.
We did. We had a distraction, and she came up here with her dimples, and she was like, "I'm gonna change this." But I think I don't think so. To answer it in its simplest form, I think the politics has always been this way. I just think that in 2020, in 2016, things came out. Donald Trump exposed where we were. He brought it to such a forefront because he had to get a particular base out, or he was not going to win, and he did. He did a great job.
What about him do you think brings it out in people? Because he's not spectacular. He's always kind of been that sideways joke, the man with 3 wives. He's never been.
I think he is spectacular. I think he is spectacular at what he's good at. He's a wonderful. He's a carnival barker. He's a salesman, and these people want to be sold. But go ahead, Dontaye. I know you may have a response.
Well, no, I agree with that. And he did it, and he did it so eloquently. And so, y'all give me 2 seconds.
Hey, brother, I'm gonna go to the 2 shot. Go ahead and get your wife. I know you're trying to get it.
I appreciate it.
Okay, y'all good. I get it, man. I get it.
What are you doing?
Can you mute his mic?
I'm trying to hold on. Hold on. Okay. All right.
Dontaye, just so you know, you just made the bloopers reel for this week. We're putting this whole thing up. Like, I'm so sorry, but this whole thing is going up on YouTube. So what were you saying about?
So he's a carnival barker. He's very good at manipulating these people. You know, him being kicked off of Twitter. Now he has his own social platform that none of us are going to get on. But now
we don't need to.
Right. But here's the thing: we got people that are listening to him. Yes. And we're shopping next to them at Publix.
That brings me to my next point, because you're right. I live in what I always thought was a Republican city, which has always been fine. Live in a Republican city, no big deal. But now everywhere, because it's primary week, I'm seeing signs for Laura Loomer. People may not be familiar with her, but she's Donald Trump times 2. She's anti-Semitic, she's anti-Muslim, and there are signs for her everywhere. Like in people's front yards. It makes me go, wait a minute, it's one thing to be a Republican, even one thing to be a Donald Trump supporter. It's a whole different thing to have this anti-Semitic woman. I guess my confusion, especially as a Republican, how did it go from regular conversation to this?
Well, you know,
guns in front of the FBI building in Phoenix.
Right, exactly. Because here's the thing too, and when I moved down south, I grew up in a state of Virginia where education is very high. It's held in high regard, right? And so when I moved down to Florida at the time, was my first move, and you didn't have to go to school beyond 16 years old, and you have, and I started to do the research. I said, okay, so it's an agricultural state. That's why that law's in place. That used to be kind of a covert tactic. Now you have a situation, as we talked about earlier, about the black, we didn't get a chance to talk about that story about the black kids that are reading books, using their own books, because now they're basically saying you need to not be very educated. We want you dumb. And as long as they have you, as long as you're dumb, then we can control you. And that's what this thing is all about. It is strictly about control. So Trump is the perfect person to be able to control people who are ignorant, who don't read books, who don't care about anything except for what you tell them to say or do. And so, when you look at, the Republicans that are out there that are educated and well-meaning, they're just conservatives. Like Liz Cheney was just a conservative.
They call us rhinos.
Y'all all are rhinos now, because if you're not a Trump supporter, you know what I mean? It's crazy. I was looking at some of the Republican operatives and people who used to work for all of them. Like you see now, when you see the people that are ran up on MSNBC or CNN, they're people who used to work for Mitt Romney and people who used to work for Bush and people used to work for, and you're like, these are the people that we would have never wanted to have a real conversation with 10 years ago. And now we're like, can you get this stuff under control?
Yeah, so Dante, I have another question. Again, I've always said that the Democratic Party is so quick to cannibalize each other. They're so quick
Hmm.
to be like, "Oh, well, you're not for us," or "You've done this." Especially when sexual assaults came about, it was like, "No, if you did this, get out." Why haven't the Republicans taken that same mindset? Because I think that's another. Well, they're starting to now a little bit, but it's always been we are one giant group. We have the same brain. We have the same goal. If you don't get out, how did that become okay?
Well, again, I think it's kind of going back to what we were saying is this Republican agenda and this platform has been something they've been doing for years. You think about who the top brass is; it's still old white men. So of course they're
Right.
not kicking anybody out
Yes.
for doing that. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
Whereas the Democratic Party is diverse. You
Right.
know, it's we've got so many different needs that we're trying to attach to because I mean, think about it. If you don't fit that ideology of the Republican Party, right? If you don't fit that, 9 times out of 10, you're coming over here to the Democratic Party, and if you don't come over here, then you're like, well, I'm either independent or I'm just not going to vote. You know what I'm saying? And so, I just think that,
There's a lot of that going on.
yeah,
And that's
Hmm.
so stupid. Just because you vote independent, you're still a Republican wearing a really cool shirt. That's my opinion about it. You're still a Republican wearing a really nice outfit. Like there's nothing changed about you. So why are you even calling yourself an independent? Cut it out.
But it's in but the long game, Dante, and I know you're in this space too. Democrats are losing the long game. The state legislatures, they're not making enough of a dent in that. There's a lot of you look at the census and what happened with the census that just came out. We're so focused on the shiny penny, which is the presidential seat. And then when it comes down to these state-run seats, that's the issue. When we look at a Marjorie Taylor Greene, we're here in Georgia. We know
yeah.
anybody that's been up in Rome, Georgia, you ain't surprised in Marjorie Taylor Greene, and you know she ain't losing no time soon. You're not
Well,
surprised.
I think that, and this is where we got to be honest about where we are. Republicans had a
Hmm.
50, 60-year game plan. They had all
Hmm.
that civil rights and women's rights and stuff. They said, okay, y'all won that battle. And they've been strategically moving pieces ever since. And to your point of the long game, we got to take a very hard look at ourselves and ask the question of where do we go from here. And I keep telling folks, I tell them this all the time. I told them yesterday we had the Democratic nominee for Attorney General Jen Jordan up in Sandy Springs where I live.
Hmm. Hmm.
We had her in one of the most diverse parts of the area. And my message to the audience is, that same injustice that snatched away your right to bodily autonomy is the same unjust system that said it was okay for a cop to put his knee on the back of George Floyd's neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. It's the same system of injustice that says it's okay to have kids in cages at the border. So at some point, if we don't call this system what it is, it's going to come for all of us. And they already made it clear.
Well, I have to push back a tiny bit. Yes, the Republican Party has had a long game, which I used to think was a smarter long game. But do you really feel a lot of the services that are promoted by, Democratic candidates are the best for the African American community? Sometimes it does feel like from the Republican side that the Democrats are putting the same old handouts, 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 handouts. That's what it seems like. And to me, that has been hugely detrimental to our success as a people.
Well, I think where the Democrats have failed, honestly, is the fact that they don't accurately address our needs within our
Oh,
community.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, I think they do great talking points, right? But the reality is, I was talking to a friend of mine, uh, different race, different religion, and he was laughing at me um, when he asked the question of why is Stacey campaigning so hard for the black male vote? She should have the black male vote, the black women vote in the bag. Why doesn't she have that in
No.
the bag? I
No.
just,
Well,
but I
yeah.
mean, but
Hmm.
listen, these are the I sat down with an older political strategist today. Been in the game a long time. Uh, Again, different race, and he asked the question of why doesn't Stacey have a black agenda? I mean, she's got agendas on her website outlined for a whole lot of people. And I'm not bringing this up to knock Stacey, but the reality is as a community, there are a lot of us looking at that because I'm hearing it when I'm out here canvassing, when I'm talking to people, we're making phone calls. They want to know specifically what's going to happen, and I think that we got too many Democrats who are running around trying to convert middle of the road Republicans and avoiding the base of voters in Georgia that put Warnock in office, that put Ossoff in office. And so, and
Well,
I can
I
only
also
speak
feel
about this
like,
from a Georgia perspective. So, this is
yeah.
coming from Georgia.
But your perspective is also a worldwide perspective. And I also want to say that Stacey Abrams, like Angela Yee, has a personality of a sock puppet. And that's kind of why that people don't really dig her like that. Because I've seen her try to banter back and forth with people, and it takes her a second to get the joke. Like, she's so hardcore on getting things done. To me, personally, she doesn't seem personable. And I feel like a lot of these Democratic candidates are coming out now just expecting, oh, Black people's going to vote for me, Democrats are going to vote for me. I don't really have to do much else. And I can give some of the Republicans kind of, a little bit of a cheer on the back, because they actually act like I want to work to portray this fake person of a man of the people, like Trump did. Trump, okay, you all can agree, Trump worked the crap out of this. I'm the man of the people and of the people. And we both know gold gilded toilets is that man of the people.
Trump was just Trump.
Y'all both got mute because you guys know.
Listen, Trump was skillful. I mean, I heard more from Trump running for president than I heard from Joe Biden. And I'm not saying,
Absolutely.
that obviously didn't sway me. You know what I'm saying? But
No.
I think they understand that they got to get out and talk to the people. I mean, Herschel Walker, I'm looking at this dude. I ain't going to vote for him. But he all up and down the Black community, and I just think
you about to make me get ghetto on this show.
Where we are as a party. I'm sorry.
Herschel
Walker is a horrible example. He's and me and Miguel, we talked about this multiple times. I mean, again, dumb. Dumb as dirt, dumb as rocks. The actual Republican PAC in Georgia is actually running commercials against him, which is crazy because, again, cannibalism is a Democratic thing. It's not a Republican thing. So he's a horrible.
He's embarrassing. He's embarrassing. But what he is that he's a Heisman Trophy winner. He's the best football player to ever play at the University of Georgia. And
Republicans love football.
And for 40% of the electorate, that's enough.
But I think too, I think so. This is what's for me funny, right? We can acknowledge the skillfulness of Donald Trump without acknowledging the skillfulness of Herschel Walker. I mean, they're all playing the same game. I mean, Donald Trump made every mistake that he could have made en route to being president. I mean, with everything that came out against him, about him, everything, yet he still won. And I think for people like Donald Trump, people like Herschel Walker, I mean, Herschel's whole jail record, abuse, everything is out.
And his abuse record?
I don't think Herschel's going to win.
I don't think he's going to win.
I don't think he's going to win, but I'm not convinced that Stacey's going to win. And I'm hoping that Stacey's going to win. But here's the thing about why I think that because Brian Kemp drawing the line in the sand against Donald Trump was a good thing. So people who are Republicans like Kia in the state of Georgia will probably be okay with voting for Brian Kemp because he's made it very clear he's not a Trump guy. And so, the hard, fast, old school Republicans are conservative. And there's a lot of men, to your point, the thing about Stacey doesn't do a good job with Black men. She doesn't. And
Can
so
point out one reason why, though? Why? Let's just call a spade a spade. The reason why Stacey Abrams does not do good with Black men is because they can't see themselves sitting down and having a meal with her or a drink with her.
But that's her fault.
I know it's going to sound ignorant and awful, but
that's her
talked
fault.
About this.
She does not. If you look at her,
wait. Mm-hmm. It's not her fault that she is a larger Black woman. Again,
I'm not just riding. I'm not just riding with the larger Black. If you look at, and we're in Georgia, Kia, and so we see the ads. We see she does not. She hasn't created any ads that are particularly driven towards talking to Black men. She talks to independents. She talks to women. She even has an ad, and Donta, you and I know we actually a little bit over. We're about to wrap up in a bit, but there's an ad that she has out. She has her white woman business partner, and the ad, it looks like it's an ad for their business, but then it's vote for me. I'm Stacey Abrams. I'm like, okay, are we talking about your business or are we talking about your run for governor? I don't get it. Now, don't get me wrong. And here's the thing: a lot of folks.
That's fair.
And a lot of folks in town who are in the Donta, you know this better than I do. Right now in the state of Georgia, you have to go through Stacey Abrams and her camp to even raise money in the Democratic Party. So what that does now is that yeah, exactly. So I'm not in your game, so I can sit up and tell the truth. So when you look at that, you're like, okay, so now you got Democratic candidates who are not going out here stumping for her because it's like she's like, you got to come kiss the ring in order to get anything done in the state of Georgia. And so I'm just hoping it doesn't hurt her. We're getting ready to get the reason why we started to talk and we brought Dontaye and Dontaye, you got an open seat, brother. Anytime you want to come in.
Yeah.
Can I ask one more question before we let it go? Guys, I know it's not I have one more question. You guys know me in the politics. I'm all for it. So the Cheney effect, I've got to ask you a question about it because people used to think that Cheney, the whole Cheney line are the spawns from Satan. She said one thing anti-Trump and now all Democrats are like, she's a good Republican. And I'm looking at all the Democrats like, wait a minute. Y'all just said y'all hated this woman a year ago. Now she's the good Republican? That makes me, I'm not pro Cheney because this whole situation, Liz Cheney, it doesn't make me pro her and what she stood for the past 2 years.
But then the woman who beat her is 5 times worse. It's like it's the enemy of your enemy is your friend now. You're like, okay, I'm just ready for it to get back to relatively normalcy.
Well, Dontaye, that's what I'm asking you. Is that what it's become? Is that the enemy of my enemy is my friend?
No, I think we in a generational fight. I think you got a group of young leaders that are stepping up that we don't see politics the same way as our predecessors. And I think that's what you're seeing. I think we're seeing it across the board. And so I think you've got somebody like Trump that stepped up, but then we also have to acknowledge AOC. We also have to acknowledge the sister up in Boston that took over as well. And so, I mean, there's a real, and I hate to just say it like this, but I'm just being blunt. I mean, there's a real political fight happening in America right now, and it's a fight over ideologies. It's a fight over.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is.
Yep.
Well, brother, I appreciate your time, man. I know we all got to get ready for, we got to get these kids in the bed and get ready for the next day. But you got an open seat here, man. Anytime.
Don't get that baby no candy.
Don't give it no candy. You're going to regret it. But we're getting into the political season, and I know you got a lot of work to do. So, like I said, anytime you want to come through, we'd love to have you. Because, once September hits, man, September and football season, we going to have a whole lot of politics to talk about here on Life Full Circle Radio. But Dontaye, we appreciate your time, bro.
I appreciate y'all. Thank you so much.
All right. Nice. So, all right, Kia.
We didn't even get to end. That was a great conversation. You know me in politics. It's my thing. It's just, I love it so much. And I feel bad because we didn't even get to get any of our ghetto hood rat stories, funny stuff. But
yeah, it's all good.
It is what it is.
Great show.
Beto O'Rourke.
Beto O'Rourke was funny. If people don't know, Beto O'Rourke, there was some dude was in the crowd and basically laughed when they talked about the kids dying at Uvalde, and he basically cussed them out. and he cussed them out. You know how your homeboy that you went to high school with, who uses the MF word very, with
when they say every single letter in the cuss word, you can hear every single letter. And it's just like, you really meant that.
You meant that. So I'm interested to see what Beto O'Rourke is going to do in the state of Texas. Can he make a dent? We need that guy in the conversation. All right, y'all. Make sure y'all follow us on all the socials. We'll have a few clips up here this week. Kia, say hello to the babies for us. Peace and blessings.
Absolutely.